Hi, everybody, and welcome to Module 6. We made some great progress in the course of the class, and I enjoyed taking a look at your suggestions on how you're going to be developing your PSA or advocacy ad, depending on the choice. And there were some really great design choices in there. So I want to walk you through Module 6. And if you click on that modules button on the left-hand side of the page and then scroll down, that will take you to Module 6. We'll start with the overview as usual. And that's going to give us an idea of everything that needs to be accomplished in Module 6. So you'll see in Module 6 that we are preparing to complete the draft of our writing assignment. Finally, we are putting all the pieces together in order to create a great letter or memo that we can use and put out in our community to hopefully help other people in that work that we find important to us. So if you scroll down, you'll see there are some learning objectives, and we're going to be drafting with audience awareness. That means that you need to think about your audience. Who are you addressing your letter or memo to? If it's city council or some government official, you're going to be writing more formally than you would if it was say somebody more personal. I had a student in the last term that did their project on the gaming community that they lived in and how to make some improvements. And so that audience was a little less formal than, say, if you were to appeal to the government or perhaps your boss at work. So think about your audience and what you'd like to achieve. So also here, you'll see that it says to strengthen arguments with diverse views. So make sure that you've challenged yourself in looking at all the viewpoints and perspectives on your topic so that you can best write some persuasive arguments and create a more robust discussion. So if you'll scroll down then and hit the next button, you'll see that we're coming to the top hat materials. You should have completed all of the top hat materials from modules 1 through module 5 by now. You may see some zeros in those sections, and I would encourage you to go back and do those top hat materials. They're still open for you to complete. And even though the due date is projected way off in the future, in fact, even beyond when this class finishes, that is simply there to allow people to turn in late work, and they have to set, or Top Hat has to set their settings that way in order to allow for late work, but that doesn't mean it's when it's due. You should be completing the Top Hat materials before you complete anything else in each module, and I've been stating that in my videos. So if you forgot that piece, go back and please complete all of the Top Hat work. Go ahead and click the next button. And this is going to take you to a section on revision techniques, on rhetoric and competition. It'll talk about opponents, supporters, and you'll be looking into this diversity piece on how many different kinds of perspectives are out there in regards to your topic. And then if you hit the next button, you'll notice that there's an editing video for you to take a look at. And so this is something that you can get started on even before you have my feedback on your draft. And so you will want to just follow along with these videos and complete the revisions as soon as you can. And then as soon as you receive my feedback, you can incorporate that as well. So go ahead and click on the next button, and you're going to see the assignment overview that you saw earlier in the class on the project that we're doing. And of course, this is going to take you the longest amount of time because you're completing that full rough draft. So please allow 6 to 8 hours at least to complete this work. And so if you scroll down, you'll see a step-by-step process on how to complete this assignment. Remember, you're writing for community change, and that you need to write a letter or memo. That is the genre that we're writing in. and you will be composing a complete draft. So the reason for that is that I can give you the best feedback the more complete your draft is. If I only have a couple of paragraphs, I'm not really able to help you make the best draft you possibly can because some components are missing. So you'll see that you're going to be reviewing all the invention work that you've completed, the topic brainstorm, the research summary, and then thinking about your revision goals. You'll notice there are some things that you're going to include. And then at the end of your letter or memo, after the reference page, please post your multimodal component. That's a part of this project, so I need to see that it is attached so that I can review it before you turn in your final version of this draft. In step 3, you'll compose a self-assessment about the drafting process, which is a 300 to 500 word assessment about the strengths in your draft, what you think you might need to focus on in the future. And you're going to be reflecting on some of the past feedback that you've received. And so what I'm looking for when you turn in your document is the actual letter or memo, the multimodal component, and this self-assessment. There are places in the rubric that ask you to complete all 3 of these places, and you won't get full points if something is missing. So finally, in step 4, you will submit your assignment, and there are some guidelines on how to go about submitting the assignment. If you scroll down, you'll see the submission requirements, that self-assessment I talked about, the multimodal component. And then I want you to notice that this letter or memo that you're completing is going to be approximately 1,300 to 1,600 words and have at least 6 academic sources and be an APA style. Yes, you can use more than 6 sources if you wish to, but I really want to see some great analysis in there. So don't just link sources together without any analysis in your paragraphs. If you scroll down, you'll see some resources on how to go ahead and complete everything that we've just talked about. And you'll also see the grading rubric that I will be following in order to grade your work. So go ahead and click the next button at the bottom of that rubric, and you'll see that you're going to be composing a draft for your peer observation. This may be a little different than what you've done in the past. So now that you have a draft and you're ready to think objectively about what you've written so far, you're going to be doing a peer observation. And so go ahead and scroll down to see the step-by-step process on how to do that. You will be using the same document that you uploaded to me for the draft in the text area of your post, and include the title, the subject, the audience, etc. You're going to confirm that your submission is visible before you get started. If you scroll down, you will see what the evaluation should look like. There's a link to the Module 6 Peer Observation and Revision Goals. So if you click the next button, you'll be taken to that link also. So a couple of ways to access the link. And this will tell you what you need to do for the peer observation. You'll want to set aside 3 to 4 hours to review your classmates' draft and conduct your peer observation, and then identify your own revision goals. And so it's really helpful to look at your peers' work to see what they've done. Maybe you like some of the things they implemented and you would like to try that out while you're doing your own revising. So scroll down to the step-by-step process. First, you're going to view the Module 6 Peer Observation Discussion page. You're going to choose any 3 of your classmates' drafts to review. Try to choose classmates that maybe don't have a review yet to make sure that everybody receives a review. And you're going to be answering the following questions in step 2. So that is a list that you should use to do your peer observation. Some things on that list include, just naming who you reviewed so that I know which work that you took a look at. And then you're going to be basically just doing some reflecting on these questions and then also listing out your 3 concrete revision goals for your own draft. So something to remember is that your response is not visible to your classmates, so it does not impact their grade, and just answer the questions based on your knowledge of the course concepts. Scroll down here to step 3, and this is the optional post to reply to your classmates. If you want to post a reply to any or all 3 of the classmates whose drafts you reviewed, you're welcome to do so, but it is not required. And then if you scroll down, you'll see that this is another assignment in which you will be evaluated on its completeness. So you'll receive either a complete or incomplete, and you must answer the questions fully. This will be approximately 300 to 400 words. And then if you continue to scroll down, you will see the rubric for this. And it's a simplistic rubric, just making sure that you have met all of the requirements for this assignment. Then click the next button at the bottom of the rubric, and you'll see that after you've done those pieces, you'll be ready to begin your revision process. And it has some suggestions. Besides reviewing the video that we reviewed earlier, there are some other suggestions on how to revise. And there is a bonus resource link for you to check out on revising and editing. So revising is the most important part of this process. Most likely when you wrote this, it was kind of raw, free writing, maybe some organization, but really to get to the meat of the project here will be in the revision process. Most professional writers will revise a draft up to 30 times, depending on what kind of work they're working on. Obviously, we're not going to be revising that much, but there should be some substantial revisions before you turn in the final project. So these are some things to remember while you're revising: audience appeal, tone and language, argument clarity, genre features, proofreading, of course, and have you met the word count. So go ahead and click the next button. And this takes you to our Module 6 experience feedback, where you get to tell us what you enjoyed about this module and maybe what could be improved so that you can help the next set of students that run through this course. As always, I appreciate all of the feedback and comments that you've been giving throughout the term, and I'm looking forward to taking a look at your drafts. Have a great week.